Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Group IB Fraud Hunting Day. We will start shortly. I think I will start with introduction. Today we have my colleagues Igor, Business Development Director for our digital risk protection team here in Dubai. Good morning, Igor.
Good morning, everyone.
And my colleague Maxim, our lead fraud analyst, again based in Dubai for the EMEA region.
Hi everyone.
And my name is Julian. I'm a product marketing manager here at Group IB. Just a brief introduction about Group IB for the one of you that don't know us. We are a cybersecurity firm that was created based on investigation. We do extensive work with Interpol and Europol across the world. We have a presence in over 60 countries, 600 experts worldwide, and we provide not only investigation services, but also software which we created over the years in order to fulfill the need of our investigation. What we're going to do today is present you with the top trend in fraud in the EMEA region, which Max will talk about in a second, and then a deep dive on the use of neural network by the Fraudster organization around the world. With that, I will start. Max, could you tell us a bit more about the current trend of fraud in the region?
Absolutely, Julian. So we looked at the statistics in the region at the different, financial sectors that we are protecting, at the e-com sector, and so on, and found out that even though the fraction of high risk or account takeover activity in the region is quite small and below than 10%, it is very diverse and it's very advanced. So we have, different threats such as automation, bot software. And also we have some more advanced and sophisticated threats such as reverse engineering activity here in the region, custom malware development and so on. So even though, as I already said, it's quite small, it's very diverse and it's very sophisticated in some cases.
Okay, and I think on the next slide you highlight that there's clearly a clear winner there in terms of the most used.
So yeah, as you can see from the statistics, account takeover activity is still #1 threat in the region as well as globally. So yeah, that's basically it.
That's clearly where we have more work to do. Just for the audience, what we will do here is every quarter we will keep you updated on how this evolved, this trend that evolved, to help you see where you can put your focus. So join us in the next webinar where we can tell you if this trend keep evolving in the same way. But obviously this is just a part of the arsenal. What we've seen is the fraudster have access to huge panoply of tools. They have malware developers, which provide them with new malware or pretty much on demand. Phishing kit developer, we see scam call center, and it's actually a few years back when I was working for Swift back in the day, we had an interaction with a bank that explained that a fraud was uncovered when a call center was used to run scams, but the people working in the call center had no idea. They worked in a call center that was fully branded. They were convinced that they were genuinely working for the bank, which made them also a victim of the scammers in that scenario. But also make them incredibly convincing on the phone. And so that's the level of sophistication the Fraudster gang will go for. But also money laundering dropper network, social engineering script writers. So all these are tools that we already know the Fraudster are using today. But what we find is Max did some research on how they are using even more advanced technology, such as a neural network. In order to create some of the scams. So before we dive on that scam, Max, could you tell us what is a neural network?
So basically, a neural network is very capable and very impressive technology that allows you to interpret data, gather some insights, and later on, in some cases, reduce a large amount of data into more, low dimensional space, so such as images, the voice patterns and so on. And as you already said, Julian, and you're absolutely correct on that, Fraudster network of specialists is quite sophisticated and advanced, and we see them, trying different approaches, investing heavily into R&D projects, and one of that application that is no longer is just a prototype, no longer an experiment, but approved fraudulent technique is called the deep voice cloning. So basically, the way it works, fraudsters obtain a sample of victim voice, and with today's technology, with today's software, as little as just 5 seconds sample of the voice is enough to generate a voice cloned audio track. And based on that cloned voice, they later on perform social engineering attacks. And we have two confirmed cases, two confirmed fraudulent cases, where basically, the CEO's voice or the superior voice were cloned and later on used to call, their employees and urgently asked to transfer money or, do a similar, request. So it is already a approved technique. And I think it's a matter of time of us seeing that technique used widely in the retail banking, on the average, scam calls scenarios and so on.
Wow, 5 seconds only. That's very scary to think that just 5 seconds of your voice can be exploited. But then, so this software you're talking about, are they complicated to access? Are they complicated to use? Can you tell us something about it?
Surprisingly, such software is easily available online, and I did manage to obtain it myself with just a couple of search queries and run such software, and it's remarkably easy to use. All you need to do is provide it with a sample of your voice or of the voice of the potential victim, and basically type the text that you want to generate audio track for. And what I did with that software, again with the consent of my colleague, who you might recognize on the next slide, I asked her to provide a sample of her voice, and based on that sample, I did generate a line, an audio track, which can basically run on the next slide and try to guess who that is.
Guys, if anyone wants business cards, I will make it as soon as possible.
Oh wow, that's Evgenia, our head
Yes.
of marketing in Dubai. Oh wow. Okay, so this was made with just 5 seconds. I mean, it's not perfect, but if I was not on the call dedicated to fraud, I think that even then that could get me. That's quite impressive. So how long did it take you to do this?
So yeah, you're absolutely correct, Julian. It's a little robotic, and you can, if you really actually, listen close enough, you can, definitely see some difference between the actual voice and the generated one. But it only took me like 30 to 40 minutes downloading the software, installing it, synthesizing the audio track, just 30 to 40 minutes. And another cool feature of the software is it grants you that capability of tuning the particular model. So basically, if you're eager enough, if you're dedicated enough, you can, invest, hours into that voice cloning technique and achieve some really impressive results with such software, which is again, easily available online and everybody can download it. And it's a little scary, to be honest.
And when I'm looking at this interface, it's not a bad interface for an underground software. It's quite well done. There's just a couple of UI improvement maybe, but I can see that it's user friendly, and that's what's quite scary. Going back to the ecosystem of this organized crime, when they provide each other the services, and there's clearly a level of attention to details here, which is really there. That's almost looking like a commercial application almost. I bought apps that were not as well done as this. And so is Deep Voice the only application to the neural network, or does it go even further?
Yes, so Fraudsters, as I already said, trying different approaches, heavily testing that new technology, and another, neural net-based, autoencoder-based approach and technology that we know that is proved, to be used in the fraud cases is called a deepfake. And probably our audience already know about such technique, but just recently, that particular technique was used in a real phishing case, and basically the way it works is quite similar to the deep voice. Fraudsters, basically generate the fake videos of some public figures whom audience trust a lot, and then later on use that video to put on some phishing emails, phishing sites, and distribute that information via the social networks, messaging apps, and so on. And later on, when victims see such, generated videos, they tend to trust that particular public figures and lean into that trap of entering their personal information, their emails, credit card credentials, and so on. And as I already said, we have a documented fraudulent case where they basically, so what fraudsters did is they took a case of really public figure, the founder of a big fintech company, and used his face to basically generate a deepfake, convincing users to enter their personal information onto the phishing website. And just by looking at it, you can tell right away that it is quite advanced and nearly indistinguishable unless you're actually looking for the difference from the real actual person. And you can see the video right now.
Yeah, that's quite scary, because I remember some years ago seeing something that they used Obama. They did a deepfake of Obama, and it was good, but you could tell, even if you didn't know, there was enough clues. But here, unless you pay, I think the only thing I could see is a slight difference in tan between his neck and his face, but everything else is so smooth. There is no detachment. That is quite impressive. And this is, so this, they are doing this using your network and the power that it gives them. But is it only fraudsters that are using the power of your network, or is it also used in cybersecurity to provide defenses?
So you can tell right away that this is a really capable and advanced technology. And of course, it's not only used luckily by the fraudsters only. We also utilize such technology, and it's lies at the core of our fraud prevention solution. And actually, I was curious to ask our audience here, what do they think the potential application of the neural networks and AI can be in terms of user analysis? Which particular field can benefit the most? And
okay, so should we do a quick poll?
Yep, let's do that.
All right, so I think we see a couple of changes of choices. We're giving the audience a bit of time to make their choices.
Julian, what do you think the audience will answer the most?
I always guess this wrong when I try to guess what the audience will go for. Okay, I'm gonna get Igor to answer first. Igor gives his first guess, and then I give mine.
I will go for the first one, type of cadence. I think it's one of the user behavior analysis, how it can benefit actually from all of the deep learning and algorithms.
Okay, I would have gone for remote access tool detection. I think that because it's so commonly used, it's such a good fraud tool that I think they will use that to improve that aspect. What's your guess, Max? And then we'll close the pool.
Well, that's unfair to ask me because I don't know the actual application. Let's see what the audience will answer, and then I'll comment on that.
All right, let's close the pool then. Let's see if we have. Okay, so what do you think of these results?
So I see. So mostly audience. Oh, audience is correct. Biometric profile based on swipes and touches. You know, which is really interesting because that is the actual application where we invest heavily in terms of deep learning algorithms in our solution. So yeah, we definitely use that information on swipes, on touches, on the user interaction with the mobile device, and run it through the autoencoders, run it through the convolutional neural networks. And so on. It's interesting choice of typing cadence that the Igor chose because typing cadence can definitely be analyzed in that sense. But what we found in the field is that is just not enough data yet to run it through the neural network for it to gain some insights on the user behavior and so on. And for the remote access tools, I think we actually have some of them tools not based on the deep learning algorithms particularly, but on the machine learning algorithms. But I'm surprised that the audience guessed right and did manage to successfully classify the correct answer. So
it means we have the right audience. We had the right audience on the call. That's a good indicator that we're talking to the right people. So you mentioned that yes, neural network is used in other application, also in cybersecurity, for deep learning, machine learning algorithm. And I guess the goal is then to use that to secure application against cyber crime activity, such as mobile application, correct?
Absolutely. And that application of mobile biometry, we use that neural network technology and deep learning algorithm to basically generate a stable biometric profile of the user based on how he holds his phone, based on how he swipes, interacts with the screen, and later on distinguish between different users. So if somebody were to steal my phone physically and try to log in into my banking application or any other application that has our SDK installed, we would definitely see a mismatch in terms of interaction with the phone. So quite simple use case would be if I am right-handed and my phone gets stolen by the fraudster who is left-handed, we'll be able to basically see the difference in the biometric profile of those two users. And again, it's really capable and really efficient way of applying neural network technology, and it's a proof technique.
Yeah, because I remember someone showing me that they could even almost tell if the size of the thumbs was different by the swipe. Even if someone is also right-handed and managed to steal your phone or force you to give the security codes, because their usage is different to what you normally do, the solution are capable of telling the difference, which is kind of mind-blowing in a way. Thank you for that, Max. Thank you for explaining how our Fraudster are using it. Now, the next topic for me is we talked a lot about phishing because, of course, making the connection between how can they possibly obtain this 5 seconds of voice? I think people will think it's harder than it really is. And in that view, and that's why we invited our colleague Igor that can tell us a bit more about phishing techniques that are already existing, but just to help the audience understand the danger of current phishing techniques, but how they could be adapted to this new technique in the future and be part of the arsenal of Fraudster. So Igor, can you tell us a bit more about current phishing trend and techniques and what the client should be looking out for?
Yes, definitely. We'll be happy to do so. Thanks a lot, Julian. Thanks a lot, Max, for your words actually, and for such a questionnaire. It was nice actually that we have a target audience. You are great guys, and I see that you're on topic actually. It was difficult to mislead you by the typing cadence, so I'm really glad to see the results. I was also surprised about it. So moving forward, as you know, the phishing cases and the phishing activities is one of the powerful tools actually in order to steal the credentials of clients. And Max actually really showed really good examples how fraudsters are using different methods and approaches in order to steal and mislead the customers on the internet or different clients on the internet in order at the end of the day to steal the credentials, because at the end of the day, again, it's their main purpose, right? And I would like to show, as we have the educational session today and we're sharing different examples and what Group IB, by using our internal technologies, which are homemade products, are analyzing and how we search for different fraudulent activities. I would like to give you also some hints and examples that fraudsters are not frequently nowadays are using the phishing activities. They also using the scam activities, which are slightly different topic compared to the phishing, because the phishing is standalone websites with a copy paste of the resource with a similar domain name, and also the website itself is stealing the credentials at first. But the scam cases are slightly different, and actually they're generating the really heavily traffic into the such resources. And of course, at the end of the day, the person who is going to such path of scam resource will probably end up with a phishing case as well. So how the phishing resources or scam cases look? Let's take a look at some of the examples. So I prepared some of the cases actually for your visual understanding. So on the screen you can see one of the case where the fraudsters is designing the scam path and actually using the well-known brands. Most of the time it's financial institutions, but actually it's not necessarily that it's company from the finance or fintech sector. It could be any types of the organization actually involved in such activities and such schemes. So at first they're trying to make attraction by giving some of the giveaways or money presents that people would think that, oh, this is the official resource based from the well-known brand, so I can proceed and win some iPhone presents or maybe the money amount, certain amount to win as a present, and I don't need to do any big activities. And after you proceed, actually, from first it seems like it's simple resources and pages and which has some content on it, but behind it it's really huge infrastructure which is not really designed by one fraudster. It's usually a huge cybercriminal infrastructures and gangs which are spread all around the globe. And as we see from the complex of these activities, at first they're trying to attract traffic. At the later stage, when you going forward to this link and moving forward, you will end up with some questionnaire forms where you can ask where you could be asked from some of the questions like what social media platform do you use, like Instagram, Facebook, some of the other information. And also by this stage, when you will be redirected to the second questionnaire form, the fraudsters are generating and actually taking some of the information about your IP address, language, about your device information, from which laptop or mobile device you actually ended up and opened this particular link. And then they're actually making and they're collecting these of the details in order then to generate and make the targeted attack into your device, actually into this particular user who started to proceed with this particular scheme. And at the end of the day, you will receive the link onto your email address or maybe phone number, depends on what they ask you in the questionnaire to leave. And then you see that congratulations, you won this questionnaire, you won this present, you will proceed and you will end up into the phishing case and leave your credentials because you already became trusted into this source. You understand what is the topic is, you already proceed, you actually was thinking that you will win something, but at the end of the day, you will end up into the just losing your credentials data. And there could be different outcomes and consequences what fraudsters are doing, whether they're selling it on the dark web or they can also get an access into your mobile device or bank account as well. So there are different outcomes could be in place. So that's why we would like you to be careful when you see some of these such examples and thinking that you can win for free. Nothing actually, unfortunately, is for free in our world. So you need to be careful with such activities.
That's very, sorry to interject here, but what's really stunning to me is that when I'm looking at this process, you could almost copy paste that into some marketing campaign where some of this data is collected and understanding what the people are after and so on. It's also a process that customers are used to, of course, slightly different because the aim is different, but people, it's important, I think, when we look at our job from cybersecurity to understand that our customers are constantly giving up personal information for genuine purposes. and it makes it harder for them when they're not as educated into the risk of the cyber world to differentiate between a legitimate marketing campaign or price or what have you, and something which is actually fraudulent like this one, because there's a lot of similarity of behavior.
Thanks a lot, Julian, for your inputs, and this is totally right. That's why the fraudsters became also smarter, and we need to be careful with this, because they're using also automatic tools in order to generate such activities, and they're spreading them a lot into the society. So, and the resources which they designed nowadays, they look actually alike as the original one. And we can see how huge the infrastructure is. Actually, it's one of the infrastructure of the fraudulent scheme. You can see how many connections, you can see how many correlations. And by using our technology, we are able to do and effectively identify such activities. And this is the also important point, that such companies as us actually have capacity and capabilities, and we invest a lot in the resources and in our engineers and developers in order to actually build such tools which will be capable to identify such infrastructures. Because manually going and crawling and looking for the links, phishing activities, examples of Max showed the technology of the deepfake, it will be hard without any optimization process, and computer science actually detect and find actually such fraudulent activities and such huge schemes. Max, do you would like to?
I have a question.
Yes.
For Igor, as an expert on phishing, as an expert on the scam activity. Do you think we can actually see the future where fraudsters, utilizing same phishing and scam techniques to lure basically users to compromise their voices, compromise their faces? Do you think that is the future that we're heading into, where scammers are collecting massively, steal the voice data, steal the face data, to later on perform such deep voice and deep fake attacks?
It could be one of the one of my forecasts that they will use such activities, because again, the method what you have shown as well, it's actually at the end of the day, the fraudsters need to gain something from it.
Absolutely.
From such techniques and tools. They don't just do it just for fun. Some of the purposes of the youngsters is to do it for fun, just to trick or maybe bring the bad reputation to the person. But most of the big gangs of cyber criminals and strong APTs, they're actually looking into the stealing the credentials, because the world has changed. Previously, we see and saw a lot of cases when on the streets everybody was wearing cash with them, and a lot of thieves were like stealing the wallets from the pocket and then take some cash and throw it out with the passport data and stuff. But then the world has changed into the digital sphere. So what is the reason now for the fraudster and thief to steal the wallet? No reason, because only bank cards there, right? And you cannot do much if you don't know the PIN code, if you don't know the password of the bank account. So that's why it's easier for them to go online and design something like this with the different attraction methods, as the deepfake, as the other scam activities, as I also have shown on the screen, and then actually lead the person into this path in order to steal the credentials and get the access into the bank account. So that's why there will still be different methods, and that's why we have a lot of our teammates actually who are on a daily basis are analyzing and building the different tools and technologies in order to identify it automatically, because by hands nowadays it will be just it's not effective method anymore.
Can you thank you, Igor, for your input. It's a great answer from your side, but can you tell us a little bit more on what kind of automatic tools you're talking about? Maybe you also apply neural network capability, deep learning algorithms to combat such phishing cases, scam cases, and so on.
Thanks a lot, Max. You're actually on time with this question, and as we guys can see, on the screen, actually, this is the methods and tools and technologies which we're using in order to identify different types of infringements, violations, scam cases, phishing resources. We use different crawlers, parsers, APIs. We use different neural network tools in order which allows us to identify if the company's trademark image of it is used on the resource, on the content or not.
Oh, wow.
So it allows us actually not to use the manual forces and eye vision from our analysis to see whether the trademark is used, because it's already one of the illegal evidences which can be applied, and we can proceed, for example, with the takedown of this case. So we also use different signatures, text recognition, logo analysis, so different actually tools which are automatically built in order to enrich it to the one part, and then it generating and correlating to each other, as well as building the attribution between the infrastructure of the fraudsters, in order then to have the full capacity and picture for our clients, for audience who on today's call, to see how huge the infrastructure, and then we can apply different methods in order to combat against this. Because providing visibility, it's one part which is automatic. The second part is actually how to deal with this. And we based our technology not only to provide visibility, but also to support and help our audience and internet users, companies, to combat and deal against these activities as well.
That's really impressive.
It
Thanks
really
a lot.
brings home the fact that the armrest is not just a cliche title. If we are not equally equipped, because like you mentioned, I think what you said earlier, Igor, really resonate with me when you explained that this is not anymore someone which is gifted with computer knowledge that is saying, I'm gonna try to run a scheme on the side for fun or see if it works. This has become a full-time job. They're taking it seriously. They are organized. When they develop something, it's not just for fun. It has to produce results, because that's how they make a living. And we have to keep up with them, because this is not just opportunistic. This is targeted, planned, and we need to keep up with industry. Can you show us a very concrete example?
Sure, actually, Julian, you brought to the interesting topic that to me to prove actually for our audience today that this particular topic is actually exist, and the fraudsters are they have the big infrastructures as well, and it's not only one person who actually designing this. And now we are coming to the second case, actually, which I would like to highlight. Most of you are going to the different marketplaces, right, to sell or buy something. And I would like you to be careful when you do so, especially probably you faced or maybe some of your friends or relatives unfortunately face such fraudulent activities when you're trying to buy something, person is placing some of the products, but at the end of the day you transfer money, but the person doesn't have any products, so seller is just a fake one. And then you ended up just sending your money to basically anywhere. But what we have noticed is that the fraudsters change their activities. So right now they're pretending to be not the sellers, but they are pretending to be the buyers. And for this case, they actually also designing, and it's huge infrastructure, how they do that. So let me give you an example. So here we see that the person is selling the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So you the fake buyer is actually seeing this offer on the marketplace, and he's communicating with the seller. And actually communication is between the normal people. The not robot actually is communicating to the to the seller, but the real person. And what they do, they have the huge community, which is called scam community, as we call them, and they placing this offer. So the worker guy, the fake buyer, is placing this offer into the certain platforms which his teammates, scam teammates, designed. And then the admins, we call them admins who designed this platform, they actually generating the concrete phishing resource and this link which look alike as the original marketplace. And then they actually worker is taking this phishing link with this offer and coming back to the seller. saying that, listen, I already, I really happy, I'm really excited about your product, I would like to purchase it, and I already paid for your product. So tell me how to deliver your Samsung. So the buyer, the seller is excited that he found the buyer, the person who is interested in his phone. So he's happy that the person already paid even for it. So it's matter about just a question about how to deliver this Samsung to the person. And he opened up this particular resource, which is look alike as the platform. So, and then there is a button where you need to just put your credentials, and it's written that you can get the money because the payment was already made. Of course, the seller is happy about it, and he input all of his credentials data and clicking into the red button to get money. What is interesting about case that the money not going to his account, but he's going out of his bank account. This 850 dirhams is going to be out of his wallet. The reason behind, from the tech perspective, is that the fraudsters are changing the code behind this resource, and actually they just renamed this button. So basically, original button, meaning that you are sending the amount, you're not getting the amount of this money, you're just sending the amount to the person, and then you basically it's free of your choice, and you click on this button and basically you send this amount to the fraudster.
Yes, that's very, it's something that maybe we are guilty, I think, in the financial sector or cybersecurity, when we know it shouldn't look like this. We know it's an odd application usage of a card because the card normally can only do a refund of an existing transaction, and we might be guilty of assuming that this will be obvious to our customers. And we must not forget that that's not their job. They don't work in this industry. And yes, they might not read the small print and so on, but even us, when we accept the term and condition of the latest iTunes software, I'm sure that nobody on this call can swear hand on heart that they read the 20 pages of term and condition of iTunes before clicking accepting. And it could be that someone in Apple now own all of our houses because we accepted terms and conditions that we didn't read. And I can see how this could be very easily use the fact that people are not fully aware on how these things works. That is really well done.
That's really true. Unfortunately, it's true, Jolene, and it is the reality nowadays. I'm sure that our audience today, as they performed the answers correctly to the Max question, so I'm sure that you might be aware of these cases, and you would check actually the domain name itself on the resource which you can receive from any of the people who provide you with such cases, and you will notice that this doesn't relate to the marketplace itself at all. So because there is no correlation actually to the marketplace, and the domain name is just a random domain which is designed by the admins. So in this case, you will be protect yourself, but we still would like to make this topic to be for you aware of that this is existing, and a lot of people, they just get excited. They have the psychology feeling that when you see that you will get the soon the amount which you would like to get, it's easy to go. You just need to press on the button. You're happy about it. You just focus on your feelings that of excitement, and at the end of the day, the amount is not going to your account but going to from your bank account, unfortunately. Yeah. And what is interesting about this case, as I have mentioned, it's a huge infrastructure of the fraudsters who are involved in this scam activity. And also, I would like to know, they also have not 2 layers, admins or workers who are communicating and pretending to be the official buyers. They also have the 3rd layer, callers, those guys who pretends to be the administration team, support team of the platform, of the marketplace. So to continue this topic a bit more, so after the person, the seller, understood that the money went out of his balance, he's understand actually that he got into the problem. So he starts to blame this worker, this guy, the fake buyer, that you tricked me, you stole my money, please give it to me back. The person started to be not happy but angry already. And then the worker is saying that, sorry, I really paid for this product, for this phone. So it's not the question to me, something may be wrong with the platform itself. The administration team will communicate with you and you can sort it out with them. And then in place are coming the callers, those guys who are pretending to be the support team of the platform. And what they do, they communicate with the seller. They're saying, we see your transaction, everything is fine. It was just a mistake. Sorry for that. So the person, the seller is already started to be calm, that administration team is involved and they see this transaction, so maybe everything is fine. And then what callers do, they generate another phishing resource and sharing it with the seller, saying that you can proceed with this link, this is the accurate one, and the amount, you will receive the amount to your bank account back. And what happens? Of course, the person rely on this case and trust to this case, and a supportive team came to me. So again, the person is proceeding with this phishing link and losing the amount of money second time. So that's what happened, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, and that's how the fraudsters are generating this their activities, and they have even the different prioritization and motivation, as we can see on the right hand side. They have even split into the revenue profits. So the admins who design these platforms are receiving 20-30% of stolen amount. The workers, because they're most of the time involved in with the seller, they receive 70-80%, and they in a high risk. And also, if the callers will be involved, they receive from the stolen amount 5-10%. So it's really huge designed scam and cyber criminal infrastructure, which is running on the different regions all around the globe. So they have even different motivations from they try in one marketplace, and then they go to the bigger marketplace, then they go to the top marketplaces, and they have the revenue split. So they really have sort of the game where you can earn more, where you're motivated to earn more, but of course from the illegal perspective. So our goal is to identify such tools and techniques, and we use different methods in order to do that. So, and for us, such activities are visible, and we would like you to be aware of such cases.
And I think it's really critical to have this understanding that this is a multi-layer attack by people which are now professional, selling the services, marketing the services to other fraudsters. And I think that, you know, as much as there is a lot of effort to try to educate our customers about, you know, be aware of scam, we can't rely just on education. As we can see by the few examples that you covered, these scams are very elaborated, visually very convincing, and it will take a level of awareness, which I think even sometimes, to your point, even if you are aware of the type of scam out there, if you are emotionally engaged into a transaction or whatever goal you're trying to achieve, you might miss the sign. And I would say that, hands down, I have myself, despite my experience at time to time, got very close to make a very dear mistake, because I almost missed the sign, because I was, as you said, you know, the psychology of it was there. I think it's interesting as well. I've seen once an example of an email scam when there was a lot of spelling mistake, and certain people will say that, oh, this is so obvious, it's a scam, this spelling mistake. And actually it wasn't. It was part of the scam, because the fraudster were targeting people with low level of attention. They didn't want smart people with attention to detail to be put into their pipeline, because they're a waste of time for them.
And imagine, Julian, if you know, using the same social engineering technique, you would receive, you know, a call from a relative or from the, you know, close one, But you would think that it is a relative who's calling you, but in fact it could be a cloned voice, using the deep voice technology and utilizing same social engineering techniques. I can definitely think that it is a really terrifying fraud campaign potential that can happen in the future.
Absolutely. I think, if my kids are traveling and I get a phone call with a voice which is very convincing, maybe on a bad phone line, if my kid is traveling abroad and all I hear is, Dad, I need some money to a Western Union transfer or what have you, because to Igor's point, they're playing with my emotion, my defenses might go down, and mostly the amount is not ridiculous. But the thing is that these amounts get together and add up quite nicely. 850 dirham over 1,000 people. That's a good day at work. This is why this is really worth it for them. They really are playing with our emotions and using this technology. So I think the message from us is, as they are using multi-layer strategy, is to make sure that we are also using multi-layer strategy. Educating our customer is one for sure, but we can't rely on it. We need to also have solutions that protect our brand, make sure that no fraudster is able to then create emotional distress to a customer. Because to your point, if I'm losing money on a platform because of a scammer, and although the platform itself are also a victim of the scammer, as an individual, I won't be able to help but to say, oh, I was using this marketplace and I got scammed. It affect the brand extremely negatively. And also to then have this additional layer within web application, within a mobile application, to detect the presence of fraudster using some of the technology that you described earlier, Max, in terms of the device fingerprinting, where these devices can be connected to previous fraud detected elsewhere, and then kick them out of your platform to protect your brand. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. I think that was really enlightening. I think we have also another poll that we would like to put to the audience. So based on this discussion regarding the neural network, what I would like to ask the audience is, are you aware if your organization are using the power of neural network to protect itself? So we'll give a bit of time to the audience. What do you guys think, Max, Igor? What do you think we're going to see here in terms of the usage of neural network?
Well, I would say that the audience will split maybe to 50-50, but it's important to consider that deep learning algorithms and neural networks particularly is not just a buzzword, but a real advanced technology that can bring a lot of value in terms of fraud prevention, in terms of scam detection, trademark violation, and so on. So I would say 50-50 from my side.
Okay.
From my point of view, I think it's difficult to actually rely on this question, because to answer this question, I think we need to, before you guys answer, you need to think from the cybersecurity perspective first of all, because I believe that a lot of audience here are working on in different organizations, and neural networks could be used for different purposes, right? So we are looking into the topic of cyber sort of protection, right, from the cybersecurity perspective. So that's why it's actually interesting to me. It's difficult to guess, but it would be interesting to me to take a look at whether the audience within their infrastructures or organizations are using some of the tools in order to detect, protect their infrastructures, and not internal but external as well, in order to deal with such violations cases. And the question is quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, I think well, I was about to say, I think the main point is the point that you covered, Max, is I think the industry is sometimes guilty of buzzwords when there's not always clarity from people that are using those, but what does it actually do? how can I relate as someone that are using a product which is supposed to use this solution? I often see machine learning being mentioned, AI, without any kind of proper explanation of what does it actually do for me, for my organization. So yeah, I'm also curious to see the pool. I think it's going to be, okay, let's close the pool. I will say 50-50 as well. I'm tempted to say it's going to be a split. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. I like that. That's an honest answer. You know, I think sometimes when we are amongst our peers on webinar, we don't like to say that we don't have a tool in a toolbox, but this is obviously anonymous. Nobody can tell, but that's very insightful. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it looks like a real honest answer, and I'm surprised as well. I thought it's going to be 50-50. And Julian, just a short comment on what you said. I absolutely agree on your stance on the neural network technology and AI in general. I think it definitely, you know, it has to be measurable, and the organization should definitely, you know, see and you know, some kind of impact from applying that particular technology in terms of, you know, fraud prevention, in terms of, you know, scam detection and so on. So it should not, and you know, definitely shouldn't be a buzzword as you said.
Yeah, and it links to the next slide that we had, on which we are going to close. Is, you know, we for example, we use this study from Fraudster to analyze the actual performance of the solutions. And this is independent study when we want to see the result of this technology, and we want it to be proven. And I encourage anyone in the audience to challenge the buzzwords, to really ask to be explained how this works, how this is supposed to help your organization, and ask for this kind of independent support as well from other organizations which are neutral within it, to actually deep dive and see if they're providing the risk. Because let's face it, these are so advanced. The same way that Fraudster are using a team, a network of very specialized individuals, it's also important for us to recognize that as educated as we are, we don't know everything. I understand now, thanks to you guys, the high level of neural network, but certainly not enough to be able to tell if one that I'm using is working or not. For that, I will need proper specialists. On this, I want to thank the audience for joining us. We will have another webinar next quarter. This will be a regular event for us, when we will again show you the trend in the region, like we did at the beginning of this, and show you the evolution compared to the previous quarter to the next quarter, and we will pick a different topic for you. So feel free to contact us. We will send you, an email to thank you for joining, with a link to the recording, but you should feel free to share with colleagues if you find it interesting, and feel free to reach out to us to ask for a specific topic that you would like us to explore during our next webinar. With that, I want to thank my colleague for joining us. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Igor.
Thank you,
I wish you all a very good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for your time.